On this month's episode of GroupCollect The Podcast, we sit down with Dayne Whitehurst of Medieval Times and Corey Steinfast of Broadway Plus for an existential conversation about entertainment and group travel. Then, in honor of fall and the kickoff of a new football season, GroupCollect President Bud Geissler gives a motivational speech in a new segment we're calling Coach Bud's 2-Minute Drill. And Kathlyn and I pontificate on the mood of the group travel industry in the month of September. But before we get into all that, I have to tell you, it seems like you really enjoy listening to group travel podcasts if you're listening to this show. So we've got another one that we want to recommend to you. It's called Gather and Go with Brian Jewell. This is essential listening for tour operators and travel entrepreneurs. Brian's a friend of GroupCollect and a longtime travel journalist. So in every episode, he interviews travel experts and thought leaders who bring great ideas and incredible insights to travel businesses like yours. You'll learn how to level up marketing, reach new customers, plan trips new ways or to new destinations, and become more profitable in the process. So it's a really great listen. You can find Gather and Go on your favorite listening app or at grouptravelleader.com/podcast. Once again, that's grouptravelleader.com/podcast. But with that, what do you say we get into this month's installment of GroupCollect the Podcast? Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to GroupCollect the Podcast. This is the only show on the internet that's going to bring you insights from the world of group travel technology, as well as news about your favorite group travel tech company, which is, of course, GroupCollect. I'm your host, Eric Young, and today I am joined exclusively by our intrepid account manager, Kathlyn Lyles from St. Augustine. Ryan Kramer is not with us today, but you will hear him conduct an interview later in this show. So all of the Ryan Kramer stands out there, fear not. But Kathlyn, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much. How are you, Eric?
It's September. So, a new school year has kicked off. A new football season is underway. And I guess the main thing that I'm wondering aloud here, and you can probably shed some light on as our account manager, what do you think is the mood right now in the group travel industry?
Oh, everyone is being a worker bee. They are
Hmm.
busy and keeping themselves busy and trying to get on top of things before the fun stuff really gets to happen. So it's a lot of I wouldn't say late nights, but just very busy days.
Yes.
Possibly late nights, but they don't like to tell us about that. So just very busy days.
That's probably the polite way of saying all of that, right?
Yes.
Um, and so what kind of conversations do you find yourself having the most this time of year, especially within the context of like group collect register, how are we there? How are you there specifically to try to help guide people through the chaos right now?
Well, as most of you may know or may not know, there's always those schools that just have the special circumstances, as we like to call them. It wouldn't be an easy job if everything was just black and white. They were all exactly the same, and you knew exactly what to do every time.
No,
So
who would want to work a job like that?
I don't know. That sounds great to some people, I'm
Right.
sure.
It's true. It could go either way.
But that's what, so I usually am here to help troubleshoot through those different circumstances that are not necessarily just your normal trip setup, send the reg link out, start taking payments. We also have enough seasoned companies right now using our
Mhm.
system so that they're comfortable with it, they're familiar with it. They know what to do. So they're the ones reaching out with these odd circumstances, things that are not necessarily normal or what you would normally do. We also have had a very busy summer as well too. So we also have quite a few newer people coming in, which
Yeah.
is really exciting as well. So it's also troubleshooting and helping them through their first registration season. So it's a kind of a little bit of everything at the moment.
Um, Yeah, I mean, to that point, for sure, it feels like when we're looking at the group travel industry holistically, not just niches of the group travel industry, there's no off season. It's full blast year round. But that's why GroupCollect the organization is here. We're here to help people through and make it better. As a travel tech company, I guess my final question for you is, since autumn is upon us, let's think about if you were to take a trip, a vacation, like a fall break, where would you most like to go to experience autumn?
Ooh, let's see.
I'm springing this one on you. Those
Yes.
listening at home, this was not
Oh,
a part of our pre-show prep.
um, so I would love to do, I've heard like New Hampshire up north.
Yeah, well, New
And
England
like
specifically,
New
right?
England, yes, that area. Or where are they known for the maple syrup? Where's
Vermont?
Vermont?
Yeah,
Yes, I've heard is very wonderful in the autumn time.
yeah.
I
Or we
also
could just go visit Ryan.
yeah,
We
you
could just go
could
to
just
Weymouth,
go up there.
Massachusetts.
Yes.
Also, I don't know so much about Vermont. I might get people from other states in New England like come at me very angrily because it might be maybe every state in New England kind of has their own claim to maple syrup, but I think that Vermont is like that's the
The
quintessential maple
yes,
syrup spot.
the place to go. Yes. And then I have been to Colorado in fall, and it is wonderful and lovely, and I will never ever turn down an opportunity to go to Colorado during
True.
this
I would totally do Colorado right now. I did hear that they got their first snow already. And
time.
so to me that wouldn't feel like an autumn trip. It's like they're already in winter. It's snowing,
Right.
you're skiing. It's like, where's
Yes.
where's the cornfield maze and, the fall festivals and such?
Yes. Well, we can tell you grew up in Florida, so no is not necessarily the most uncommon thing to me this time of year. That was just like, okay, it can snow one week and then you could be back at the lake the
Yeah.
following week. So,
Don't ask me about what is normal weather patterns from growing
yeah,
up in Florida. That's
yeah.
definitely not my strength.
No,
Um,
well, we did go. Where did we end up? It was so it's the Garden of the Gods. What's the little small town that's close to that?
Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
We
yeah.
ended up there in October a couple of years ago, and it was like a real life Halloween town to me. Like every shop was decorated with like a skeleton of some sort
Yeah.
that was decorated. They had the whole, so it was like a whole little town that truly embraced that fall, like Halloween,
I could see
pumpkin
that.
spice, like
I will
feel.
give them the pass on the unseasonably early snow because it seems like they get in spirit for fall stuff. And good
Yes.
for them. Good for you, Colorado Springs,
And
if you're
fall, you have,
listening.
yes, yes. Good for you guys. And you have to be able to wear a scarf in fall. That's like just a requirement. So if it's snowing, then that just means you have to wear your scarf.
It's yeah, an even heavier scarf.
Yeah,
So yeah, then are you like experiencing fall even harder? Like, I don't know.
I know.
These are all the hard-hitting questions that we bring to you here at Group Collect the Podcast. Kathlyn, we also have a brand new segment that we're going to debut on today's show.
Yes.
And in honor of the NFL season kicking off this month, we have ourselves a coach on the team here on the Group Collect team.
Oh,
You all out there in the group travel industry might know him as Bud Geissler. Some of us refer to him as President Bud. That's me. I think I'm the only one. Um, but for this segment, President Bud is going to be Coach Bud because he's bringing it in for a 2-minute drill. Everybody, Kaplan, we just got to jump right into it. Without further ado, this is Coach Bud's very first 2-minute drill. Enjoy.
This is Coach Bud's 2-minute drill.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2-minute drill.
It is football season, and I know you're listening to the GroupCollect Podcast, but I wanted to do a quick story for you. This is one of my pregame speeches. It's about a horse named Old Blue. One day I was driving down the road, and it was raining, and the road was muddy and slippery, and I went off the edge of the road with the car, and I put my car into a ditch. Now, I knew I had passed a farmer's home about a mile back, and so I started walking, and I get to the farmer's house, and he's an old-timer, retired from farming, and I said to him, "Hey, do you have a tractor or something that maybe help get my car out of the ditch?" Farmer said, no, but I do have this old horse named Old Blue. We'll get Old Blue out, and we'll see if Old Blue can do the trick. So we went walking down the street with Old Blue in tow. We got to the car, and the farmer hitched Old Blue up to the car and told the girl, "Go ahead, let's go, Old Blue, come on." So Old Blue starts pulling, and Old Blue, she's not moving the car at all. So then the farmer yells, "Hey now, number 7, come on now, number 7, let's go." Well, Old Blue started pulling a little bit harder. Next thing you know, the farmer yells, come on, Betsy, let's go. Come on, girl." And Old Blue starts pulling even harder. And the car starts coming out of the ditch. And wouldn't you know, Old Blue pulled the car out of the ditch. So I said to the farmer, "Hey, buddy, thanks for getting my car out. But I said, I got a question for you. I thought you said this horse's name was Old Blue." He said, "It is Old Blue." I said, "Well, why'd you call her Betsy and old number 7? And what's the deal with that?" He said, "Well, Old Blue lost her sight a while back. When Old Blue thought she was by herself, she couldn't get the job done. But when she thought she was part of a team, she refused to let her teammates down." And that's how we need to approach the work that we do, folks. It's not us by ourselves. It's not just GroupCollect. It's not you out there doing work on your own. It's about us working together to pull along with each other. So even though you don't see us every day, you got to know that we're out here working with you to help you pull along the weight that you carry. See you on the road.
All right, everybody. So that was Coach Bud Geissler. Coach Geissler? I don't know how.
Coach Buddy.
Coach Buddy G. He's a man of many names and titles, but that's his 2-minute drill. Little motivation for everyone that is in, they're in it right now. If you are deep in the trenches of September, turning October in the group travel industry, hopefully that was a little pick-me-up. But we also have something else. Let's just say you're kicking back, relaxing, listening to this show. Even though Ryan is not with us in this recording session right now, Kathlyn, he did an excellent interview with 2 titans of the industry, Mr. Corey Steinfast of Broadway Plus and Miss Dayne Whitehurst of Medieval Times. The topic that the 3 of them spoke about was on why entertainment is such a powerful and a downright necessary component of group travel. So we wanted everybody to be able to take a listen. So let's get into that.
Alrighty, I am so excited today to be joined by 2 absolute pillars of the group travel space. You know them, you love them if you're listening to this podcast, but I'll introduce them anyway. From Texas, we have Dayne Whitehurst, who is the National Director of Sales at Medieval Times, Dinner and Tournament, one of my all-time favorites. Thank you for being here, Dayne.
Excited. Thank you for having me.
And from New York, we have Tony Award winner Corey Steinfast, the Vice President of Sales at Broadway Plus. Thank you so much for being here, Corey.
Happy to, always.
Awesome. Well, I want to set the stage here, if you will. Funny, given the context of our conversation. The genesis for this call was we were at CITA. Both of you very kindly volunteered some of your time to come help us out at the Innovation Station for GroupCollect. Both of you drew in great crowds. And I saw the 2 of you in the lobby on checkout day and said, "Hey, I just wanted to say one more time, thanks for coming." And one thing led to another. The 3 of us wound up cramming in the back of an Uber altogether. And I just really, really enjoyed the conversation that we had in that car ride. Just listening to the two of you talk about what you do for work and what you do to impact the industry. And I was thinking to myself, God, that was like listening to a great podcast. And then I remembered I am a co-host of a podcast, so I can have you guys on and we can talk about it. And not only that, it is an industry specific podcast. So yeah, that is why we are here today. So, like I said, kind of the overall theme, what I want to talk about here is the importance of entertainment when it comes to travel, when it comes to group travel, when it comes to student travel. But just really quickly, in case we do have anybody listening who maybe is not familiar with either of you or your companies, could I just ask each of you to just quickly introduce yourself and your companies and talk a little bit about what you do for the industry? I'll start with you, Dayne.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Dayne Whitehurst. I'm the National Sales Director for Medieval Times Dinner and Tournament, as Ryan said. Medieval Times is a family-owned company that has 10 castles across the United States and Canada, where we host a dinner show back from the medieval era, where you're going to eat a four-course feast and watch knights engage in medieval games of skill, weaponry, of course, the jousting, all brought to life by our amazing horses.
Amazing. And Corey.
Hello. My name is Corey Steinfast, Vice President of Sales at Broadway Plus. Basically, what we do at Broadway Plus is we work with almost 3,000 Broadway artists from every show under the sun and bring them in to do all different types of workshops, Q&As, concert experiences, VIP experiences, name it, we cover it. We're also a group sales agency in New York City, which means we can sell tickets to every show on Broadway and off Broadway in New York. And we also work a lot now globally, which is absolutely insane to say. We're doing experiences in New York as much as we are in LA and Seattle and Chicago and Dallas, as we are doing in London and Mexico. We get to work kind of at the intersection between, individual travel, student travel, and corporate groups and events. So it is a fun challenge, and not one day is ever the same, but I love what I do.
Amazing. And thank you so much for sharing that. And that segues me well into my next question, which is I often say when you work in this business, and I think it's true of group travel, I also think it's true of, entertainment. Usually you don't wind up where you are by accident. There's some intentionality about how you wound up where you are. So I'd love to ask each of you just a little bit about kind of your backgrounds, how you found yourself working in group travel, working in entertainment, and kind of what it means to you to have that opportunity. So we'll do a little snake draft here. I'll go back to you, Corey.
Great, absolutely. So I had kind of an interesting kind of journey through up until now. I grew up going to a performing arts theater camp, Frenchwood, shout out, very near and dear to my heart, and still very near and dear to my heart all of these years later in my very old age. I grew up, and David Stone, who was an alum of the camp, the lead producer of Wicked, both on Broadway and the films, would come up every summer and talk about what he did as a Broadway producer. And I was like, oh, cool. That sounds like something dynamic. I knew that I had no interest in performing professionally, but still loved theater and wanted to be involved in some way. So in college, I did a bunch of internships in the general management space. So that means for Broadway specifically is they're kind of the center point with all of the wheels turning around them. So they're handling budgets and contracting and HR and all of the nitty-gritty things to make a show run. And I loved that world, and I thought that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Did a bunch of internships during college in that space, both in New York City. I interned at Wicked, which was a great experience, and did some stuff in London on the West End, which was fantastic. And then I graduated college, worked in a company management job, which is kind of under a general manager in a regional theater out in the Western Massachusetts in the Berkshires, and enjoyed it, but was kind of like, I don't know about this. Like it's a very hard way of life. Lots of dynamic work. not traditional 9 to 5, and I came back to New York looking for jobs kind of adjacent to that and really wasn't finding what I was looking for. So I don't admit this often. I try to keep it a bit under wraps, but I actually sold advertising for Yelp for 6 months. I got out of school, did that company management job, and wasn't able to find what I was looking for. So I thought that working in the tech space at least would potentially give me the funds to be able to be a Broadway producer, which was kind of my long-term goal on the side. So I did that for 6 months, hated everything about it. But it taught me some really good kind of natural sales skills. My mom was in sales her entire life. The woman could sell a rock on the bottom of her shoe for $10,000. But I hadn't really thought about sales as a job and as something that I would thrive in. When you think sales, I think it's very cut and dry, and most people that we know, growing up would sell insurance or toiletry. I don't know, like things that weren't like cool and dynamic like what we get to do now. And then a job at Disney Theatrical Group kind of popped up onto my radar. I had a friend who worked on the marketing team there who, I spoke to her about the job and heard great things. And I ended up getting the job at Disney in group sales specifically because of my intersection between my hard sales skills from working at Yelp and working on Broadway, because I understood the world. So Nicholas Ferranda, if you're listening, shout out, near and dear tourism friend in our world. He was the one that hired me, and I spent a little over 3 years at Disney. Frozen was my baby. I was there pretty much from the very beginning of the kind of inception of the show, out of town in Denver, to literally the very last day at the very start of COVID. I was there for the final performance. We were handing out little slips that said, so sorry, this performance is canceled. We'll be back in a week. And I have a photo of the last day, the last people in the theater with the ghost light on stage. And the show never reopened, which is insane. But I did that job and kind of built up my sales acumen and tourism acumen in that job, learned a lot about CITA and the student youth market and leisure sales and all of these different things there at Disney. And then the pandemic hit. I got furloughed from Disney and ultimately laid off, which was hard for a lot of people in our world. But with Broadway Plus, my boss now, the founder of the company, came to me and said, hey, we're looking for ways to do virtual events, doing all different types of things. Corporate companies still need ways to entertain their clients and their employees and their partners. What are you up to? And I said, not much. And that's how I started at Broadway Plus. And I've been there just over 5 years now, which is crazy to say. Feels simultaneously like 5 hours and 5 minutes and 50 years ago, so all at the same time. But during COVID, we were able to pay out millions of dollars to artists doing corporate virtual events, and then came back in person shortly after that. And I now run an incredible sales team with a group of large mix of different types, a lot of former Broadway actors, as well as people on the management side. So I was able to kind of cultivate be at the center point between hospitality and tourism and groups and all of this stuff and Broadway, which is kind of like the ultimate intersection of all of the things that I love to do. And I'm very, very lucky. And I get to travel the world doing these experiences, working with, the C-suite at Liberty Mutual, all the way down to, the group from Idaho coming into New York for the very first time, experiencing Broadway shows. So I get the full kit and caboodle, as we say. And like I said, I love what I do. So I'm very lucky. Did that cover everything?
Absolutely. Wow, that and then some. Thank you so much.
A lot of stories I have.
No, that's so wonderful. I love hearing that. And Dayne, I'm excited to hear from you, kind of your journey to your role and kind of what this intersection of travel and entertainment means to you in your world.
Yeah. Well, I started in the restaurant entertainment industry 25 years ago as a server when I was in college, and fell in love with the industry. As a server to this day, I think that was still one of my favorite jobs, like wowing somebody with like exceptional and genuine service and getting tipped really well for it. Like there's just something that was really engaging. You get to connect with so many different people, but of course, moved into restaurant management, multiple restaurants. Over the 25 years, I've worked for only 3 companies. I've been with Medieval Times now 7 years, my previous company 15. I transferred colleges to Chicago early on in that career and worked for the new company and became like a hiring and training manager. And then about 20 years ago, moved to group sales. And what a transition that was, going from that in person where you have body language and eye contact to going over the phone and the email where you lose that. And so there also became this passion for studying communication and psychology. But I've been with Medieval Times now for 7 years, and I get to be part of the amazing group sales teams at the 10 different castles and supporting them in service development and sales development and just getting to support our partnerships nationally. And so, yeah, that's how I kind of came into the group sales world.
Amazing, amazing. Wow, thank you both so much for sharing about this. And so to kind of get to the big question that I wanted to get at here, because this is something I was chewing on in this fateful Uber ride, is thinking about the tours that I got to partake in myself, throughout my youth and into my adulthood, thinking about, during my time as a tour coordinator, the tours I would put together and, look at the feedback that I'd hear anecdotally. Often it is the entertainment experience that is the standout, kind of life-changing aspect of the trip. And I find that especially with educational groups. So what I'd love to hear is for both of you being able to be immersed in this intersection all day of your group travel and entertainment. In your mind, what, if you had to put into words what that benefit is, how would you define it?
I'll link it back to my first experience. So my first experience on a youth trip was going to the Fox Theater in St. Louis, Missouri to see Miss Saigon. And I think my whole town probably could have fit in that theater. I'm from a town of 1,400 people. My background was going camping for vacation, which I treasure. But it completely opened my mind to this new experience. There's something powerful that happens when you're in this historic building and you're watching exceptional writing, music, lyrics, costumes, a gut-wrenching story that opens your heart, your mind. You create deeper empathy. And I think entertainment isn't just about fun, especially when it comes to students. I think that it engages them emotionally, socially, and intellectually.
Amazing. How about you, Corey?
So I was scrolling on TikTok this morning, as I do, and I saw a video pop up of the CEO of Lyft, who still drives Lyft cars to this day, every X amount of time, just for, kind of the experience, the customer experience and what's going on there. And kind of people I can't name the Lyft CEO off the top of my head. So he kind of has smarted the system, I guess you could say. So the way that I was like, oh, that's funny because, often during the school year at peak times like spring break, etc., it's a champagne problem, like I like to say, but we have a small but mighty team here. And sometimes we need bodies to like lead a workshop or help with, getting a tour group from point A to point B, chaperoning the group to the show, whatever it might be, So I often get the opportunity to kind of jump in and be the tour guide of sorts in terms of the Broadway Plus person on point for the Broadway workshop happening or whatever. So I've experienced a lot of firsthand, just like coming in, we get into the groove of what we do and there's so much happening and, we're dealing with contracts and negotiations and invoices and all of the stuff, so much going on. And we don't really like take the time to like think about, oh, how is this affecting the end user, which ultimately is the student. And, we think about some of our groups. A lot of these kids probably haven't had the opportunity not only to come to New York or anything else, but even a major city to begin with. So really experiencing it through their eyes for me is something that's been really like keeps me like level in there might be so much work happening and so many things going on, but at the end of the day, like look at what we're doing for these kids who will be able to talk about this experience for the rest of their lives. I mean, the fact that Dayne could go back and say, I saw Miss Saigon at the Fox Theater, like those are the types of things that we can get cohorts of 30 all the way to 300. And I think that for me is what is the most exciting part, and the fact that my company gets to be a part of that and a part of their experience, the live entertainment part, as you said, connecting with actors, we really focus in on like direct, like actors are people as well. Creatives are stage managers, whoever they're meeting with, these aren't just like mythical figures that you see on your TikTok or your Instagram. These are real life people who have lives and rent to pay, and, they just happen to have a really cool job. So to be the connector of that and to kind of humanize the art form, and connect groups to that, is something I don't take lightly, and I'm very appreciative.
Amazing. Wow, that's so amazing. And as a big theater nerd myself, that is I do find myself sometimes, looking at Broadway performers and, it is kind of, it almost enhances the experience, right? When you remember that, these are people too. They feel things the way you feel things. They have their anxieties, their things that make them happen. And that's what,
Absolutely.
to me, that's what makes the theater such a unifying experience, knowing that whether it's the Broadway actors, whether it's the knights, or the royal court, at medieval times, they're all these incredibly talented people. But I like that framing, Corey. Just they have a cool job. So I
Yeah,
do.
we have cool. I mean, look at what we get to do
Yeah.
every day.
Oh yeah.
Like we're
Absolutely.
not. I often will say we're not. Selling toilets. No offense to people who sell toilets for a living, and we're also not curing. Infectious diseases. Like we are just trying to provide entertainment, and that can change lives just as much. Maybe not just as much, but you know where I'm going.
Absolutely. And that segues me really well. So, for both of you, for anyone who's listening to this, we're people in the industry. If someone's heading to one of the cities that your company services, both of you, what special opportunities, in addition to being able to purvey tickets for these performances themselves, the tournaments and the musicals and the plays, what extra experiences do you both offer that can buttress that experience and make it even more enriching?
Well, we are family owned, so the family traces their lineage back to 11th century Spanish royalty, and that's kind of how this whole concept came. And we've been in business for 42 years and about to be 43. And
Yeah.
the one thing that our owner says a lot, when we get these out of the box ideas, we should try this. He says, we're going to stick with what we're amazing at. And that's putting on an amazing show and serving incredible food. And so we don't really offer too many out of the box additional extras. What I will share though is how authentic the experience is when you come. I think, we think, oh, it's this dinner show. It's, it is what it is. But we raise our own horses on the ranch in Sanger, Texas. The music is written by composer Daniel May in conjunction with the choreographer and the script writer. We make our own costumes in Dallas, Texas. And, we're taking kids to this experience that they're taking from their lesson books to seeing it come to action, seeing these big knights on horseback with swords and, these giant lances charging at each other at full speed. Is there a better way to see lesson plans come to life?
I've been lucky enough to see Medieval Times, and I gotta say it's an amazing experience. And I'm glad you brought up the music because the music is spectacular. My goodness, it's so hypes you up. So good. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, and that's such a, just that authenticity being inherent in the experience. How special is that? Whether it's a school group coming or an individual group coming, that's incredible. And how about for you, Corey? What if someone's heading to a destination where Broadway Plus has its footprint?
Yeah, I mean, luckily we work with actors first and foremost, so we have a lot more flexibility across the board in terms of different types of experiences with name the show, we can cover it. So what we really specialize in at Broadway Plus, in addition to tickets, the plus of Broadway Plus, if you will, is the access to work, with the cast members from the show that you're seeing. So whether it be a workshop, singing, acting, dancing, but we also cover things like stage management and band workshops. There are so many bands that come through New York City, and there are opportunities of there tend to not be a lot of opportunities for big marching bands. So we've really kind of worked the last year on creating a pit orchestra like you would in a Broadway pit, create a workshop that was authentic to that. So we are really able to do unique experiences. So whether it be you're having dinner, and you want to bring an artist from the show to come and say hi and surprise the group, the artists that you are literally sitting, and hanging out with at dinner, you will then walk over to the theater an hour later and see the show that they're in front of 1,200 people right in front of you. So that's one thing. Like I said, all of our workshop experiences, we do a lot of Q&As as well, post show. That ties to a donation to Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, which is a huge organization here in New York that we're very passionate about. But we are, luckily we are in a place where a tour operator can come to us and say, hey, we're looking for this thing. I know it's kind of weird. What can you do? 95% of the time we can make it happen. And I have a great team that does that. And we're here to be dynamic and be interesting and provide experiences again that are a little different than the norm, but we can still offer the norm all the same. And we can do this sort of thing, like I said, all over the country, in London, etc. Same way that tours in Dallas or LA, those experiences we can do in those places just as much.
Amazing, Corey. And I've got to say, you demoed that experience that you talked about really well for the GroupCollect team while you were helping us out at our booth there. Because for those of you who didn't see, Corey had, for those of you who are outside, the incredible actress who played Elphaba in the segment from Wicked. So she comes to our booth the day before to meet some of our clients and help Corey kind of talk about this partnership that we're building with Broadway Plus. And I just really, like, when you talked about that, you have dinner with this person, then you see them out on stage. We were all kind of looking around each other at the lunch table. Like, she was in our booth the other, like you say, it's this realization. These are real
Right.
people. And it was, yeah, incredible.
And that's something that's incredibly important to us. And again, like, artists, this keeps coming up, but like, these artists are people too. Like, they love being able to do these experiences. They love meeting guests, and we always have somebody on site to make sure they feel safe and cared for, and all the things as well, because that is extremely important in this day and age. But we want, they want to be able to connect with the kids and the groups and whatever it might be, and spend some time, whether it be in a workshop, Q&A, or dinner setting. And then they go on their merry way and do their Broadway musical for those 1,200 people or whatever it is.
So cool. So cool. So one last question that I'd love to hear from both of you is, you both have really awesome jobs. I think my job's pretty cool too, but your job's pretty awesome in that you get to be immersed with entertainment all day. You get to talk about it. You get to kind of be in that world. As entertainment professionals, what sort of entertainment do you seek out in your personal life? When you have downtime, what do you like to take in?
I mean, mine's obvious, unfortunately. My work life and my personal life are one. I can't help it. It's always been that way. It will always be that way. I do get to see a ton of theater, which is incredibly, I'm incredibly lucky, and I don't take it lightly. But I get to see the big Broadway musical, the play, the weird niche, one-man show in a box downtown in a basement. Like, I really get to see the full kit and caboodle. And for me, that is really cool. Like, what would 10-year-old Corey say to 30-year-old Corey now? Like, what could be bad about what I do? I'd be spending all of my money on theater tickets anyway. So the fact that I get to do it as part of my job is a genuine way, because I have clients who are coming to me saying, hey, we have a group of middle schoolers from Kentucky. Like, what shows would you recommend for them compared to the private school in Laguna Beach? Like, there are different strokes for different folks, and I literally have to see everything to be able to recommend. And that's my entertainment, and that's the majority of what I enjoy taking in.
Amazing.
Probably more than most, which, it is what it is.
How about you, Dayne?
I mean, it's theater too. Any kind of theater, watching just the genius that comes, that all of the storylines, the music, the way that you can really make. I don't think I've ever been to any theater where I didn't leave without a tear. Like, the way that the stories can come to life, that make me cry every time. Maybe that's not so hard to do, but it's theater always.
Amazing. Well, I guess one last little quick question, which is, well, I'll start with you, Dayne. If someone heard this and feels compelled to get their groups to Medieval Times, how can they reach out?
Well, I'm blessed to have 10 amazing teams at each castle, who everybody that does work with Medieval Times literally uses the word love, and usually by their name. So if you have your person, please reach out to them. If you have not been to a Medieval Times or you want to connect, of course, I'm at dayne.whitehurst@medievaltimes.com. Anytime, reach out.
Awesome. And if someone wants to do some work with Broadway Plus?
Yes, absolutely. It is all me, baby. Corey, Corey, at BroadwayPlus.com. Like Dayne said, I have a great team of people that I work with to make everything happen. If you, like I said, if you have your person, fantastic, but I'm here for any questions, any recommendations. As you heard, I am quite the nerd in the theater space, so I know what I'm talking about, and I know what to recommend to you bringing your two kids coming into New York, the same way your 90-year-old grandma is coming and wants to see a show. What should she see? Here always for personal and professional requests in that regard.
So good. Dayne Whitehurst, Corey Steinfast, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you,
Ryan.
GroupCollect.
All right, everybody. And so, again, that was Corey Steinfast, Dayne Whitehurst, and our very own Ryan Kramer talking about entertainment and group travel. We greatly appreciate our two guests and our co-host, Mr. Kramer. We hope that y'all enjoyed that. But that's going to do it for today. So we just want to remind everyone, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to GroupCollect the Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, pretty much wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. And if you would like to write into the show, you can email me directly. Send me any thoughts and suggestions to Erik at GroupCollect.com. That's ERIK at GroupCollect.com. And until next time, dear listeners, this is your monthly reminder to stay cool and collecting. This has been a GroupCollect production.